Alright, let's talk about two coins that most folks hardly notice, the humble US dime. They're small, light, and so familiar that we barely give them a second thought. Yet, hidden among the billions produced over the decades, a few rare dimes carry secrets that can turn a 10-cent piece into a serious payday. Today, we're focusing on two incredible finds from the modern era, the 1988 and the 1996 Roosevelt Dimes. Not the coins you usually hear about in grand treasure stories, but in their own quiet way, they're some of the most fascinating hidden gems you can stumble across. Whether you're an experienced collector who knows how easily modern errors slip through the cracks, or someone who's been hanging on to old change without even realizing its value, these stories are worth your attention. Starting first with the 1988 Roosevelt Dime, we step into a year full of big headlines. The end of the Reagan presidency, the rise of technology that would reshape the world, and, quietly, one of the rarest modern dime errors sneaking its way into circulation. At face value, the 1988 dime looks like any other. Over 1.3 billion dimes were struck that year between Philadelphia and Denver, part of the endless churn of pocket change that keeps the economy moving. But the real story isn't about how many were made, it's about a handful that were made wrong. Specifically, some 1988 dimes from Philadelphia ended up being minted without their P mint mark. No letter beneath the date. Just the smooth curve of Roosevelt's neck and the clean digits of the year. A tiny omission that turned a basic coin into a collector's dream. You might wonder, how could something so crucial be left off? The minting process for US coins is usually airtight, but even the best systems rely on human oversight. In this case, it's believed that a die used to strike the coins either missed getting its P added during preparation, or the mark wore off during heavy polishing. Dies are regularly cleaned and retooled, especially under the intense pressure of high-volume production. It only takes one slip, one overlooked detail, for a few thousand coins, or fewer, to slip through missing a crucial feature. It's important to note that while Philadelphia started consistently using the P mint mark on dimes beginning in 1980, the tradition was still relatively young by 1988. That may explain why the absence wasn't immediately caught by the mint workers or the public. People simply weren't as focused on checking for the mint mark yet. Today, the confirmed 1988 No P dimes are incredibly scarce. Estimates suggest fewer than 10,000 may exist, and many of those are likely lost to time, worn beyond recognition, or sitting unnoticed in someone's jar of old coins. In the current market, a circulated 1988 No P dime can easily bring $400 to $700 depending on eye appeal. Coins that show moderate wear but retain solid detail often command prices on the higher end. Move into mint state territory, grades like MS63 or MS64, and you're looking at $1,000 or more. An MS65 example can top $1,500, and the few that have graded even higher, MS66 or MS67, have sold at auction for upwards of $2,000 to $2,500. Auction houses have reported some fun bidding wars over particularly clean specimens. In one 2017 auction, a brilliant MS66 No P 1988 dime hammered for just over $2,300 after a flurry of last-minute bids. For a coin most people would overlook, that's the kind of excitement collectors live for. One thing that makes the 1988 No P error especially interesting is how stealthy it is. Unlike off-center strikes or dramatic double dies, this error doesn't announce itself loudly. You have to know exactly what you're looking for, a missing detail in a place where most eyes barely glance. It's the sort of find that rewards careful study and patience, qualities that experienced collectors know are invaluable. There's another layer to this story for serious error enthusiasts. Some collectors have identified what they call weak P 1988 dimes. These coins technically have a mint mark, but it's so faint and ghostly it's barely visible even under magnification. These aren't considered true No P errors by grading services, but they occupy a fascinating gray area for specialists. Weak P dimes don't carry the same value premium, but for collectors who appreciate the quirks of minting history, they're an irresistible side quest. Condition matters, as always. A heavily circulated 1988 No P dime might show a worn-down Roosevelt profile, flattened lettering, and little luster, but it can still command hundreds of dollars because of the error's rarity. Meanwhile, a crisp, bright coin with full bands on the torch reverse, a key grading marker for Roosevelt dimes, jumps significantly in value. The full torch bands, or FB designation, can make a tremendous difference in final price, particularly if paired with high overall grade. Beyond the numismatic value, there's something almost poetic about how the 1988 No P dimes found their way into the world. Unlike many modern commemoratives or collector-only issues, these coins weren't made for special sets or designed for limited release. They were honest mistakes, real working coins meant for everyday hands. Some paid for a cup of coffee, a newspaper, maybe a parking meter. Ordinary objects transformed into treasures simply because someone, somewhere, made a very human error. Stories have emerged over the years of people finding these rarities in the most unexpected places. One collector reported buying a roll of dimes from a local bank branch in the late 90s and spotting not one, but two No P 1988 dimes. Another person found one jammed in the coin return slot of a vending machine. It goes to show, rare finds aren't always locked away in private collections, they're still out there, waiting for sharp-eyed searchers to spot them. The 1988 No P dime represents a perfect storm for collectors, relatively modern, tied to a human error rather than an intentional design, incredibly scarce, and yet subtle enough that it often flies under the radar. It's proof that even in a hobby dominated by centuries-old rarities and historic issues, sometimes a simple dime from your lifetime can be just as thrilling, and just as valuable. Now, while the 1988 dime story is one of accidental scarcity, the 1996 Roosevelt dime brings a completely different flavor to the table, a commemorative moment mixed with a surprising error that only the most observant collectors caught onto. Let's move on to explore how one special year and a little-known twist turned another tiny coin into a major score. In 1996, the United States Mint celebrated a milestone that had been decades in the making, the 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt dime. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's image first graced the dime in 1946, honoring his role in founding the March of Dimes to fight polio. 50 years later, to mark the anniversary, the Mint decided to do something a little different, a small but significant change that caught the attention of sharp-eyed collectors and, unintentionally, led to one of the more interesting modern mint errors. The big feature of the 1996 dime was the inclusion of a W mint mark for coins struck at the West Point Mint. Traditionally, West Point had been primarily known for bullion coinage, gold and silver, not your everyday change. But for the 50th anniversary celebration, West Point struck a special run of dimes. These 1996 W Roosevelt dimes were not intended for general circulation. They were specially produced for collectors and included in uncirculated mint sets. Only 1.457 million were made, a tiny number compared to the billions of regular circulation strikes. Unlike the No P 1988 dime, where the error was the absence of a mint mark, the 1996 W dime was supposed to feature its mint mark boldly. And, for the most part, it did. But, as always seems to happen when humans and machinery work together, not everything went according to plan. A very small number of 1,996 dimes have surfaced missing the W mint mark, or showing extremely weak impressions of it, sparking heated debate among collectors and a surge of interest among those who specialize in modern mint errors. Now, before diving deeper into the error itself, it's important to understand the landscape of 1996 dime collecting. Even the normal 1996 W dimes, when found in pristine condition, carry a premium. Because they were specially issued and not dumped into regular circulation, most examples survive in high grades. A brilliant, untouched 1996 W dime typically fetches $20 to $30, and coins graded MS69 or MS70 can command significantly more. In 2021, a PCGS MS-70 example of the 1996 W sold for nearly $1,500 at auction, a staggering number for what most people still think of as an ordinary coin. But it's the errors, the outliers, that really capture imaginations. Among them, the 1996 dimes missing the W mint mark, or showing only the faintest ghost of it, are the true prizes. These coins blur the lines between official releases and happy accidents, and they offer a tantalizing what if to collectors. How did they get made? And how many are still out there, quietly sitting in old coin albums or forgotten mint sets? The leading theory is that a few 1996 dimes intended for circulation, those struck at the Philadelphia Mint, were mistakenly included with West Point issues during packaging, or that worn dies at West Point resulted in extremely faint or missing mint marks. Given that mint sets are assembled by hand at various stages, small mix-ups aren't out of the question. Whatever the exact cause, the fact remains, legitimate examples of a 1996 dime missing the W are extremely rare, and when one comes to market, collectors jump at the chance. Current market values for these ultra-rare missing W 1996 dimes vary wildly depending on condition, provenance, and the degree of missingness. A completely absent W mint mark commands the highest prices. Circulated examples, though incredibly scarce, might bring in $400 to $700. Mint state coins, especially those verified and graded by a reputable third party, can easily cross the $1,000 mark, and in some cases, much more. An MS-65 example, authenticated as a true missing W 1996 dime, was once bid up to nearly $2,500 at auction. Considering that the average person would mistake it for pocket change, it's an astonishing testament to how crucial small details can be in this hobby. Even among regular 1996 W dimes, condition matters enormously. Coins designated as having full bands, the clear, distinct lines on the torch on the reverse, carry significant premiums. A regular 1996 W dime with strong full bands in MS-68 or MS-69 condition can easily fetch $150 to $300, while MS-70 full band coins break past the $1,000 mark. For a coin that cost virtually nothing to acquire if you got it through the original mint set, that's an incredible rate of return. There's a fascinating bit of trivia tucked into this story too, because the West Point Mint's production facilities were relatively new to circulating coinage at the time. The 1996 W dime served as a quiet test run. Officials wanted to gauge whether West Point could handle expanded production if needed. By all accounts, the 1996 W project was a success, but even so, West Point never transitioned into mass production for regular dimes, keeping the 1996 W a true one-year wonder. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1996 W dime's mystique is how many people completely overlooked its importance when it was first released. Mint sets are a popular collector product, sure, but many sets from the 90s ended up tucked away in attics, closets, and safety deposit boxes without ever being fully examined. That's led to an unusual modern-day gold rush, people going back through old sets from 1996, hunting for that elusive missing W dime or searching for one in pristine condition worthy of a high-grade designation. There's something inherently thrilling about that, isn't there? The idea that a national commemorative event, something officially planned and carefully executed, could still result in an unintentional rarity. It speaks to the beautiful unpredictability of coin collecting. No matter how controlled and standardized the minting process becomes, there's always a chance that something rare, something remarkable, sneaks through. And if you're the one who finds it, that's a feeling that no auction price tag can truly capture. Condition again plays a vital role in valuation. Circulated 1996 dimes missing the W are still head-turners, but collectors always prefer sharp, original surfaces whenever possible. Coins with obvious wear, like rubbed hairlines or faded reverse details, will still fetch strong prices because of the rarity of the error, but the most jaw-dropping sales happen in the mint state grades, especially when accompanied by authentication papers from PCGS, NGC, or ANAX. There's an added bonus for collectors too. The 1996 W dime is extremely easy to authenticate under most circumstances, thanks to its very specific characteristics. It should have a sharp strike typical of West Point minting, with strong features and clear detailing. If you find a 1996 dime with no mint mark at all, extra caution is needed, because regular Philadelphia coins also carry no mint mark, but subtle differences in strike quality, luster, and die finish can help experienced graders tell them apart. In a way, the 1996 dime story comes full circle. It began as a planned celebration of 50 years of Roosevelt's image on America's coinage, a nod to his legacy and to the march of dimes that helped conquer polio. But in its execution, it ended up also creating an unplanned gift for collectors, a rare and valuable mistake that perfectly embodies the spirit of numismatics. In coin collecting, as in life, sometimes the most unforgettable stories come from the moments no one intended. Both the 1988 and 1996 Roosevelt dimes remind us why coins can be so much more than small pieces of metal. They are markers of human history, ambition, and yes, imperfection. Whether it's a mint mark forgotten, a commemorative issue gone slightly awry, or just the natural randomness of mass production, every coin has a story if you look closely enough. And who knows? The next time you're sorting through an old collection, or maybe even your own pocket change, you just might find a little piece of that story waiting for you.